Welcome to this video introduction to task 1062 of the OSM Tasking Manager. Let me start by clicking on task 1062. It is important to read the description and the instructions linked to the task. This task is for experienced mappers. The author is the Kathmandu Living Lab Volunteers, and the requesting organization is the Nepal government and the international response community. Now let's have a look at the instructions. Before we start anything, we have to acknowledge the term of the license of the imagery that we're going to use. In this case is the Airbus DS OSM FR license agreement. Here you can see that I have already accepted the terms of this license. Now let's scroll down and understand what is expected from us. Well, basically it's two things. The first one is to map land use equal brownfield, which is basically to draw polygons that will report severely damaged housing areas. The second thing that is expected from us is to map IDP informal camps, which is again to trace polygons, but this time around tents that people have set up after the earthquake. Now that we have understood what is expected from us, let's start contributing. I'm going to select a task. Well, let's pick this one. And I'm going to start mapping. For this mapping exercise, I'm going to use JOSM. JOSM is really the recommended editor to achieve this task. Now JOSM is loading up, and I'm going to have a look at my layer panel, which is at the top right. What I have loaded is a data layer and the Tasking Manager 1062 imagery layer. Now I need one extra piece of imagery, which is my reference point of imagery before the earthquake happened, and that is Bing. I'm going to click on Bing, and then I'm going to put Bing below the Tasking Manager 1062 image layer. To do that, I'm going to press the down arrow, and here we are. At the bottom, I have the Bing imagery, and right above it, I have the Tasking Manager. By clicking on and off on the little icon next to the Tasking Manager, I can have a before view and an after view of the same place when the earthquake struck. Now let's zoom in and let's have a look at some housing areas that might have been affected by the earthquake. Well, here I can see some wet spots, which could be some tents that were set up. Let's have a look before. And let me turn back on the Tasking Manager 1062 image layer. After, well, it seems that those tents, which are indicated in white, were set up after the earthquake. They do not show on the before earthquake layer. Here I have no indication of tents. When I click here, I see tents or white spots, which could very well be tents, which are most likely tents. So let me draw a polygon around those. And now I'm gonna, in my preset, look for Hot Nepal, and I will have as options residential area, brownfield areas, IDP informal camps. This is what I'm going to select, IDP informal camps. When I do that, this window opens, and I'm going to select the source, which is the image layer that I have been using. I'm going to apply the preset. Now, in your preset, you might not have the Hot Nepal preset loaded. How do you get it? Well, let me show you. You go under Edit, Preferences. You go and select the third tab. And here you're going to go under Tagging Presets. And what you need is the Hot Nepal Earthquake Experimental. In the available presets, scroll down and find the Hot Nepal Earthquake Experimental. Then click on the blue arrow to bring it into the active presets. I'm not going to do this because I have done this in the past. And here I have in my active preset the Hot Nepal Earthquake Experimental already loaded. So here in this area, I have marked some IDP camps. I can check here in my window that this has been properly mapped. Now, I also want to do one thing, which is to look at the brownfields. For this, I need to compare imagery before the earthquake and after the earthquake, and have especially a look on the buildings. I'm going to turn off my data layer. I'm going to zoom in this area, and move it, and I want to have a look at this set of buildings that seem that they have been damaged after the earthquake. Let me have a look at before the earthquake imagery. Here I can see very clear marked buildings after the earthquake. Well, these have still managed to survive. These looks like they have been affected. I think I have some brownfield areas here. Before, after, before, after. I think I have a candidate here for a brownfield. Let me draw a polygon. This area, maybe I want to move this one a bit. I want to do another check. Well, here, clearly this one was destroyed and this one was affected. Let me have a look again. Before, after. I think this is a fair candidate for a brownfield. Now I'm going to go in my preset under Hot Nepal and select brownfield area. Again, select the source of the imagery that I have been using and apply the preset. I hope this was useful. This is how you map brownfield of damaged buildings and IDP camps of tents that have been set up. There's a lot of work to do. So happy mapping of task 1062 of the HOT Tasking Manager.